All right, today we are joined by Tom Hibbert of Winning Strength Solutions in Southampton, the United Kingdom. Tom has a wealth of experience, primarily known for his work in the Strongman field. He himself has been an under 90 kilo world record holder in the log press. He's also coached many others in Strongman competition who have gone on to international acclaim. And he is currently training himself to prepare for the 105 kilogram weight class log press world record in just a couple of weeks. I believe he said it was on November the 20th. So Tom, give us a little bit more as to who you are, and don't pay too much attention to it saying that his name is Katie.
I'm on my wife's tablet. I left mine at work. Anyway, so just going back to the name, the company name is Winning Strength. It used to be called Winning Health Solutions. I changed it because strength is what I'm all about, strength and performance. And when I started, Winning Health Solutions was a good fit because it was kind of like I wanted all encompassing. But then you get 10, 12 years down the line and you start to realize what your passions are, don't you? So that kind of changed to Winning Strength. So the gym's called Winning Strength. It's in Southampton. It will be 12 years, November 1st, which is a couple of days away. Learned lots in that time. As you say, I specialize in strength athletes, mainly strongman. I have a decent amount of powerlifters as well. I have one weightlifter at the moment that's a decent level. I'd love to get more weightlifters. I love strength. It's definitely my passion. I'm one of those coaches that walks the walk and talks the talk. I pride myself in that. All of my coaches I've had work for me, they get put through the same thing. You don't necessarily have to be a world record breaker, but I believe you have to practice what you preach. I believe you have to at least, I have a big thing. You have to do a workout before you give it, or a protocol before you give it out to somebody. You have to do a periodization scheme. You have to understand, because you can't relate to the client at all. I was having this exact conversation with 2 new staff members this week, and they have to follow an 8-week periodization. And I'm like, you have to do it yourself before I'm going to let you write programs from my clients. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. How do you want to start today, sir?
All right, so let's talk about what Strongman is, and like you're having the world record in the past of the 90 kilo weight class of the log press. So what goes into Strongman? What exactly is Strongman competitions?
So strongman competitions, every strongman competition will have, the thing is, every strongman competition is different, but there are some small similarities. There will always be at least one overhead event. So we're all about taking things from the floor and putting them over our head, or if it's a Viking press, it's on a frame. So those are the main, so if we go through the main movements, you'll have log, you'll have axle, you'll have monster or circus dumbbell, and then you've got the Viking press. They're the 4 traditional movements you're going to see in the overhead. Now, you could have any of those implements put together. So you could have 1, 2, 3, or even 4. You could have any of those implements for reps. You could have any of those implements for max. It could be medley, and you could have implement 1, 2, then 3, and then max reps and 4. So it's kind of like it's a mishmash of whatever when it comes to a comp. But you'll always have at least one overhead event. If you're lucky, because I'm good at overhead events, sometimes you get 2. You'll have a 6-event comp, and that's a great way to pick up points. After that, you'll normally have a squat or a deadlift as a show of static strength. And again, usually this is for reps or for max. Could be on a normal bar, could be on an elephant bar. You know, the Rogue Invitational is going on right now. It's a different animal. You've got car deadlifts. So you've got all these different events. It's the same motor pattern, but it's different. So there'll be 1 RM or reps on that. Then you've got moving events. Usually there'll be a heavy moving event. It'll be the yoke, the farmer's walk, or a frame, and you're looking to move it 20 meters in the quickest time, or 40 meters drop and turn, things like that. Then they also tend to train, or at least test strength endurance with at least 1 event, a medley. And this could be absolutely anything. It could be that you carry something, load it in a sled, drag the sled back. It could be a max carry, i.e. you're holding 150 kilos and you're trying to go max distance. So they get quite creative with that. There's lots of loading medleys. And then more often than not, the most famous one is the Atlas Stones. It's always at the end because of tacky. So people put resin on their hands, and it just gets messy. Yeah. And there are two things that get the resin or the tacky off you. Number one is baby oil. Number two is spirit. So like an alcohol spirit. So you can imagine the mess at the end. And the Atlas stones, you get the traditional run. So it goes from light to heavy. You could get reps. There's not often a max effort stone as in a 1RM. That's kind of a showpiece. Tom Stoltman's been doing that the last couple of years, been obliterating records with that. But yeah, a very traditional end would be Atlas stones. Normally 5, maybe 6 events. It can take a long time. It can take a whole day. So pacing yourself can be different. I've done 5 events in 2 hours before, which I preferred at the time because I was all about work capacity. So it could be inside, it could be outside. So you've got a whole different host of factors to look at and to program for.
So how does one actually, since I mentioned right at the end there, how does one actually kind of plan and program for a strongman competition?
The way I do it is obviously we're working back. I would need events to really look at it. But if I give you the main structure that I use with the majority of people, at least in the last 8 weeks of peaking. So if they're peaking, I like the conjugate system where we're looking at max efforts and speed work. Day 1 would normally be the speed work for the pressing or the speed work for the upper body. And then we've got a lot of assistance work with it. It could be triceps, biceps, could be shoulder stabilizers, whatever weaknesses you have. Day 2, you would start off with the lift that you've got, meaning if you've got deadlift but no squat, you're most likely going to do speed deadlift or speed endurance deadlift. Then squat would be after that, usually as an assistance movement. The squat, obviously, if you squat more, it helps pretty much every event. But it comes to a point where your squat's at least at a decent strength. Getting it any stronger is just going to drain the amount of effort you can put into other things. But the squat would normally be then. And then you've got assistance work after that. You could put plyometrics in at the beginning. You may do certain things like snatches if you have an overhead toss event. They like throwing events at the moment. So that would be day 2. Day 2 would be speed lower. Day 3 would be your neural or your heavy upper, where you're going to do the overhead movement. So if you've got log, we're going to work log first. Then normally I try and work a heavy dumbbell press. I say heavy, it's usually trying to hit reps. So we'll periodize from 20 all the way down to 6s. Try and get those rep ranges up. It could be rows or pull-ups. Again, lots of shoulder stabilizer work. And again, you could have a grip element. The last day is the event day. The event day, a lot of the time, I'll do week on, week off. So it's like you're doing week 1 is say you're doing good mornings and windmills. Then you've got 2 events, maybe the yoke and Atlas stones. Then the next week, you would do the opposite, or, you would do deadlift, and instead of the yoke, but you've got farmers, you do that moving event. So we swap the yoke out, we bring the farmers in, and we've got stones. So we'll take whatever I set out and put the stones in. So you can get all your events done if you flip-flop. If you try and do the classic strongman, the way beginners start it is they try and do all of their events on that last day of the week, you just lead to burnout. Okay, it's very difficult to get events in during the week. It's very difficult to do more than 3 events on one day, because if you're doing deadlift, yoke, then stones, look at the whole transfer, your hips, your lower back, everything, your nervous system is just going to be a mess at the end of it. So you have to periodize fairly carefully. You have to take the individual and be like, right, is this event going to be something you're going to get 10 reps in? Or is this event going to be, we're hopeful of getting 1 or 2? So am I having to train it for a max event, or am I having to train it for endurance? Do I need power? Do I need speed? So it's all those factors, but that's the main overview without going into too much more detail.
Interesting. So how did you end up actually getting into doing all this strongman stuff?
That's a cool question. So I'm competitive as fuck. And I stopped playing what you call soccer. So I stopped playing football. And I lacked a competitive element in my life. And one of my mates was like, fuck, you should try strongman. You'd be good at it. I did the classic, I'll wait. I'll train a year. I'll get stronger. Did that, got into the sport, and it just took off from there. It's just, there's something fun about testing yourself. It's one of the purest, or it's the oldest sport around, right? Everyone, olden days in Greece, they either fought or they picked up rocks. They challenged themselves physically. I always watch Strongman on the TV. I don't know what you guys get over there, but we always have it at Christmas.
Us, it's like it used to be on during the summer, and then it moved to like middle of the night if it's on at all, and like it's hit and miss really. Anything related like that's just hit and miss these days. Like I think we have lumberjack competition stuff shown on TV. The strongman. So we see people cutting down a tree or running up a pole to cut off a disc this big off the top of the tree, and then basically control fall on the way down instead of watching people pull a truck or a plane and throw a keg 40 feet.
I remember when I lived in New Jersey just being amazed by that stuff, watching them chainsaw and axe logs apart. It was quite cool for me to watch. But anyway, in the UK, World's Strongest Man is traditionally shown at Christmas. We're talking probably late 80s, early 90s is when they did that. And the first year I watched it, a Welsh guy, so a Brit won it, a guy called Gary Taylor. And I was just absolutely amazed by it. And ever since then, just wanted it. And, you know, you look, I followed it. I just got that addictive personality, and I've got a, you know, always had a decent recall, and I'd just be obsessed with anything that had to do with sport, whether it was football, strongman, just absolutely loved it. But for me, it was a competitive thing. I didn't realize they had weight classes. I got going, you know, there was a good standard. You can't just walk in to strength sports and just win it. So it took a while to get to world-class level, but it just fit in. It was a passion. It fit in with the business. It fit in with my job. It fit in about learning about strength. It directed my learning. Everything I've learned, I've obviously applied to myself, but then I can take it and apply to my clientele, and it just fit for me. And now, you know, if you had told me 10 years ago I'd be able to make a living off pretty much solely strongman, you're always going to get general pop clients come to you and different things, but it's heavily strongman and heavily strength related. I never would have thought that 10 years ago, or whenever I first, 12 years ago now, when I first met Charles, because it's completely different. You can train people online now. It's so much easier. I have 7 billion people to pick from rather than just however many people are in my town who don't really care about lifting stones up.
Yeah. So speaking of name you just dropped, how did you get into actual training? Like there's a difference between competing and training for that. But how did you get into, and not necessarily training, but coaching? And what led you down, like learning from guys like Charles?
So if we go, how did I get into coaching? I think I'm lucky in the fact that ever since the age of 18, I knew what I wanted. I see a lot of people nowadays not quite knowing where they want. I was always like, I love strength. I want to be in the gym. I want to make a career out of it. And I remember I went for a meal with the girlfriend and met the parents. This is not my wife, this is a previous girlfriend. And they were like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, you know, I've just got a job as a self-employed PT, personal trainer. And they're like, that you can make money off that? I was just like, yeah, I fucking can. Anyway, lost my train of thought with this. What was the question again? It's late for me over here.
How did you get into coaching?
So coaching was, I just always knew. And then, so I got the self-employed role at what was called LA Fitness and started there. And my manager, PT manager, her name was Liesel. She, back in that day, you went 2 routes, at least in the UK. You either went Paul Check or Charles Poliquin. And she was like, you are Charles Poliquin. You need to go and do his course. So I signed up for his PICP1. It was run by Andre Benoit, Owen Lacey, John Connor in Ireland, in Dublin. And it just blew my mind. And I just, ever since then, because there wasn't a lot on the internet, or at least I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of T Nation. I wasn't aware of Charles's website. I just went on that course and was just like, wow, this is where I want to be. I did. I definitely looked at, John, Owen, and Andre. Like, yes, these are the kind of guys I aspire to be like. So I did PSP1, and I did PSP2, the lower body, the following year. I think we met Charles that year, which was quite cool. We just had an aura. He came into the room and everyone just fucking stopped. And then he said, he cracked one of his jokes. I think it was because we were learning Olympic weightlifting. He was like, "Don't be a jerk, always clean your snatch." And everyone cracked up and he walked in. That was him. That was it. That's all we got the first time we met him. Then I did his biosig in Fulham. And the same weekend we did the Pimps. That was 7 days that was, fried my brain by the end of it. And then I did various things from PICP 3, the Aleco Summit, just absorbed as much of his information as possible, all of his articles, because he started to write more and more articles and blogs. I did a semi-private internship. 10 people come and beast the crap out of you for 5 days, and we'd learn about fat loss and performance and the way he does things, training twice a day. That was good fun. I never did PICP 4. I think I finished as a PICP 4 student. I qualified as PICP 5, but after he left and the split happened with the Polquin group, I just didn't really give a shit about applying for it. I've done that quite a few times now, hit PICP 5 level. The Strength Sensei hit. I think I hosted one of his private seminars. You could see a massive change in him. It was cool. And then I did a lot of consults with him. I did a lot of private consults. Those were I think you get to a certain point and you can just get more value off spending an hour just picking someone's brain. And I used to love that. I used to love getting into the nitty gritty with Charles about a few things. That was cool. But yeah, does that answer that?
Yeah. So give an example as to what kind of nitty gritty stuff you really like to kind of pick away at that you wanted to get more of that deep dive into. Like, what was it that you were really trying to extract the most out of him for?
There's some stuff I probably shouldn't say, but he was an expert in many things. But what I liked is with his consults, he was able just to cut things down. He was able just to explain something in a sentence, just be like, nah, it's just this. It's this simple. So I remember asking him about his 5-element theory, and he just laid it out in one quick sentence. I was like, oh, it's that simple. So I just loved, my preference was obviously at that point when I was doing more private consults was Strongman, and was understanding more about strength athletics. I know he wasn't known for strength athletics, but he was a great mind for many different things. So recovery elements and supplementation around that and advanced protocols around that. But periodization, that's my passion. I love program design. I don't know whether it's just the numbers thing, it's mathematics, it's physiology all rolled into one. That's the most beneficial information I got from him was on periodization.
Yeah. So from that, what I think a lot of people that end up watching this can take from what you said there is there's a difference between the course material that you get when you take a certification course, an internship, and then when you actually get to do a deep dive consultation with the individual behind the course. Especially like you had mentioned, like the old PICP stuff wasn't always necessarily taught by Charles. It was taught by staff or contractors of his who were still very high quality at the time and knew the material front and back, inside and out. But then when you get to actually ask the person whose material it really is, all the deep intricacies of it that you're trying to understand a little bit more intimately, like the 5 elements or program design, certain aspects of it, like structural balance. Why is it that this ratio is this way, and why is it that you find that that's best? When you're able to get that deep dive into it, yes, the console is going to cost you more money, but it's going to save you money in the same time or make you more money because you've been able to add that one little piece of the puzzle that was just a little bit missing that you might have missed at the course, because some courses like biosignature, bioprint, metabolic analytics, as I said with Dave Lawrence the other day, whatever is being called this week, that course throws so much information at you about hormones, supplementation, nutrition, biochemistry, physiology, that you're going to miss something at the course. And sometimes that consultation is all it takes to put that one missing piece back in. And now that wheel that you're trying to figure everything out on, all of a sudden now it starts to turn and make sense again, because there was just that one piece you didn't quite grasp. that you thought was very complicated. But in reality, once it's explained simply by someone who has mastered it and knows it intricately, can explain it to you in the simplest words possible, now you kind of get one of those thoughts in your head, that aha moment of, and now you're able to apply it to the client, the athlete, and get results from them even better at a higher level. And now you're able to make, as a coach, you're able to make more money because now you're becoming more in demand. And that's something I find, like, Charles was a master of being able to do that for anyone who did consults with him. And if he didn't know, unlike the facade or the aura that people had about him, where people would say he would make something up, if he didn't know something and you were asking him, he would just be like, go ask this person. That's who I got that information from. They'll know it.
That was another thing he was able to do for me, is networking. The amount of email introductions, which, you know, your network is your net worth and all that crap, but the amount of people he knew everyone. He was very clever. Everyone liked him. Well, not everyone liked him, but he was, you know, everyone at least respected him. He was so knowledgeable. But the networking was a big thing, and just the introductions to different people that I would never have got towards, different supplement companies, and you just like, this is the guy for that.
Yeah, not only the supplement companies, but being able to actually contact the person behind the company. Like, I don't know what you guys have access to in the UK, but like in North America, we've got like HCP Labs, Designs for Health, Designs for Sport, Nutridyne, Thorn Research, Metagenics. All of those, most of us are able to connect with people who are a little higher up than just a sales rep, all because of one person. Like, this conversation wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that person.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about you and your consults with him, but when I came out of it, I was just so motivated to go and do. I don't know if that's just because I really am enthusiastic about learning, or whether it was Charles's aura, or whether it was both, but I would always come out of it super motivated to go and do something, to go and write programs, to go and achieve, to go and take something to the next level.
Yeah, no, like, definitely the same in a lot of ways. But one of the things that it would also do at the same time is give you that Dunning-Kruger effect, but that you're not that, oh, I know everything. It's more like you come out of it and like, oh my God, there's so much more to this. Oh God, I'm never going to know anything.
I have that fucking weekly, daily with Dr. Peter Lundgren. Oh my God. And he simplifies things for me, because he's like Charles, he's finger in the eye principle. It's like, it's this, and you just do. But the amount of background knowledge, physiology, anatomy, oh my word, if you need somebody for injuries, he's like, and I know Charles thought the world of him as well. They were good friends. Well, fuck, he blows my mind, and it's like, yeah, I really don't know shit about this anymore.
Yeah, like it's amazing. Like, if you've ever had a conversation with Greg Peterson, who's the president of Nutridyne, like, a lot of people in supplement companies might not necessarily know their company's products intimately. Greg can tell you how much of every ingredient is in every product, because he's intimately involved along the entire process. And he's able to bring in some of the best minds about certain ailments and whatnot to be able to make XYZ product better. Like, I think it's called Dynamic Detox. I might be messing up the name. I never remember product names exactly. Like, he knows every aspect of it, and he knows what the dosage is supposed to be for different things. So, like, when you've got people at that are functioning at that level, it's refreshing at the same time. And I do find it both motivating, and like, after like a few years ago when he gave me a call to ghostwrite his books, I was scared. The only way to describe it, like, I was excited and scared shitless. So I'm like, you want me to do what? I literally asked him and named a few other people, and he's like he flat out said, he said, I don't trust that person to do thing. I don't trust this person with $1 because they'll stretch it into copper wire. And another person I just want to stand on. I don't want them involved in anything. I just want them to stand on their own feet at this point. So it's like, I was like, okay, no pressure. So what's my timeline? 3 weeks to write 2. Okay, sleep doesn't exist anymore. So like, it's a good motivator. Like those consultations, those calls. Like, what would you say are kind of like the 3 biggest lessons you took from them?
From the consults?
Yeah. Or not just the consults, like overall education wise from like Polquin.
Finger in the eye principle. There's an echo. Is that cool? Yeah, finger in the eye principle. I suppose that's closely linked to the one thing.
Yeah.
I call it, I speak about when I have students or when I have clients, I speak about a critical path. And it's a one thing just explained slightly differently. It's probably in the same book. But a critical path is you have to do this goal and then this goal and then this goal. You can't skip things. So it's being able to focus on that one thing, but knowing what that one thing is. And that just comes from experience, in my opinion. Experience and just doing it a lot. So finger in the eye principle, one thing. Don't know. The one thing that's coming to my top of my head, I don't know why, maybe just because it's recent, is rule number 1, don't be a dickhead. It's the same thing. There's a book on the Kiwi rugby team. I can't remember the name of it. It's something, you know what, funny enough, it's something, I think it's The Legacy.
Here, I'm going to see if I can Google it really, really quick at the same time.
Can't remember the author, but they it's their principles. So somebody studied them and spoke to them about their principles of success, because they are amazingly successful with a small population in a very mainstream sport. And rule number 1, no dickheads.
Yeah, you're right. The book is called Legacy by James Kerr.
Yeah, I think it's a great read. I think it's a great read if you want to try and create something. I'm trying to create something with strength athletes in my gym. And I take stuff from that, and it inspires me to figure out how to manage people. But the education is just a never-ending thing. It's just I have a hunger for it. I think Charles did. I think that rubbed off on me. I did fuck all study at uni, nothing, absolutely zero. Whatever grades I got because I was okay at recall, and I just answered whatever questions they had in front of me in whatever essay form. But from Charles, it was just a passion and thirst to understand and learn more. And it is never ending. Once you have that direction, it's very easy.
Yeah. So you say you hosted like one of his first kind of like private seminar type things under the Strength Sensei band. Did you do any of the courses, or have you been following and doing any of the stuff that's now going on with this company?
Fuck no. I wouldn't go near what's going on with this company. I know that's a bit impolite, but I wouldn't go anywhere near it. I was a bit like taken aback from it all. So when Charles passed, it was like, fuck, what is going to happen with content? And then I don't even know the guy's name. Somebody, stole his intellectual property and was using it. Or 2 people, I think they created the Strength Sensei Legacy or something. And that had to be sorted out. So when something's in a mess, I'm always like, no, fuck, I'm leaving it well alone. It's really difficult as someone. I've met Crystal once, and obviously we all were in workshops, and I'm a father now, and it's the best thing ever. And I can understand Charles's passion for his daughter and all the stories he told. And it is an amazing feeling. And, my initial thought was, fuck, this sucks for Crystal, but what's going to happen? And, everything all the decisions should be made around her. But what I'm also seeing now, because how many years is it for? 3. So it's 3 years now. And it's like, I've got new staff. I'm like, right. So tell me, in interviews, I'm like, what do you know about Charles Poliquin? And, a lot of his stuff's getting lost. People haven't heard of him. And I think it's a shame. No one expected him to pass away so young. We all thought he was superhuman. He was going to live to fucking 90 or whatever. So because it's a shock, there isn't any kind of plan put in place. So I don't know if what's being put out under his brand is what he would want. I don't know if it's well, fuck, some of the stuff I see, I think he would be turning over in his grave at. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if that's anybody else's, but some of the stuff I see, I'm like, I don't think Charles would like that. And if it's about him and his legacy, I would say, what's going on there? Why are the decisions being made like that? And that's another compounding factor that I don't really go on their website. I was about to go on it before the call just because I was in the waiting room just to see what's going on. And then I do love reading his old articles, and you can get his old articles, and it's quite cool. And obviously there's not going to be any new content, but I'm not in agreement with it, but that's just me.
So let's go full circle on the strongman stuff. For people who want to get into strongman training, what would be your recommendation to them? And then also, what kind of education would you suggest a coach go down who wants to do strongman coaching? Like, are you offering coaching for Wow, that sounds really weird to say outside of my head. Are you offering coaching for coaches for coaching strongman?
Firstly, yes, I do. I already offer that. I already do that. I have a system. Obviously, a lot of my systems and stuff comes from Charles, or if it doesn't, I use different periodization schemes. I have different thoughts. This is one of my biggest things. I would love to be able to sit down now with my knowledge level now and have a consult with Charles and get into more depth. But no, I do coach coaches. Strongman is a growing sport. The best thing you can do is type in strongman. Right, go to Starting Strongman. Go to their website. Guy called Cale Beck. He runs it, and he has one of those maps of the world where you can see where your local strongman gym is. So the first thing I would do is find a strongman gym, because nothing beats using the implements. He's got loads of articles. He's like how to train strongman in a commercial gym. So if budget's a problem and you can't go to a strongman gym, you have options. I've got programs online that you can just start. I obviously offer online coaching, but yeah, I've had quite a few coaches and personal trainers or strength coaches come to me for guidance on how to train that group. But nothing beats just going out and just, if you train 3-4 days a week, dedicate one day to strongman events and just see how you do. I've been doing that since we opened the modified strongman. We do it on Saturday mornings. It's a bit of fun for the clients. It's more work capacity based and strength based. But if you want to get in the sport, you need to find someone who's in it. The other piece of advice is don't wait until you think you're strong enough. Just fucking go and do it. There's no harm there's loads of novice comps. There's no harm in no lifting an event, but nothing motivates you more than knowing 8 weeks I have to lift this. Fuck no, 7 weeks now I have to lift this. It just pushes you that little bit more. To get your arse in gear, to recover, to get as strong as you can. I waited a year. Do I wish I'd done it before? Yeah, probably. I'd be a year along. You can't wait. You have to dive in. And there's so many that you look at it and you think. So many people come up to my gym and they're like, "Fuck, this is professional." You look at it as a normal gym. But it can be intimidating for some people. And people think about strongman and they see these 150 kilo guys, some of them lean, some of them big, some of them, massive beards. And they think they're getting psyched up for things. They are all teddy bears. Okay. They are all gentle giants. You will never, it's probably the same with powerlifting. You have the heavy metal and that, but you go to a powerlifting meet, and everyone's so nice. Like I can chat to Andy Bolton on the phone any time of the day I wanted. These guys, these strength athletes, are just big teddy bears. They love helping people, and I would just dive in.
Yeah, it's like, don't look at that one snapshot you see of them like trying to do something. See them when they're talking to each other. It's like I don't know if you've ever been to the Swiss Symposium that Ken Knackman puts on. Like Bill Kazmaier is a mainstay there. And like, if you're just talking to him, you would never know that he's like a 4, 5, 6 time world's strongest man, and he's like
3 or 4.
He's just so well and simple to just speak with. There's no craziness to him. There's no aggression. He's just like, yeah, like this is just how it is. But there's the difference between when they're just speaking and like doing everything, and then when they get ready to compete. When they get ready to compete, they got to flip a switch. So don't be intimidated by what you see when the switch is flipped. Take a look at them when they're not flipping the switch, and they're all going to be good guys, nice guys. Look at Tom. He's like half asleep right now. It's also like an hour or 3 bedtime.
Oh man!
For anyone who's in like the Southampton area or the UK, they should take if you're interested in strongman, take a quick little. I don't know how far Southampton necessarily is from things transportation wise, but take a trip to Southampton if you're a coach in Europe looking for strongman ideas. Tom's gym's set up for it. The link that he gave for the starting strongman, I'll put that below as well as the link for Tom's gym, both his actual website and his social media handles, which we'll get him to give you in this moment as well, so that you can see what a nice professional facility also looks like, because Tom's got some of the highest quality equipment in the world in his gym, so that he has that amazing professional appearance, but he also knows how to use every piece in there for more than just looking pretty. So Tom, give everyone your social media handles. Pimp yourself out a little bit right here.
Fuck, I'm no good with these ones. I know my personal one. I'm not good at social media. I've had the piss taken out of me for this recently. But my social media tag, I think, is tom.hibbert1. So if you wanna find me, that's the way. Yeah. And then the company name, Winning Strength. It has many umbrellas under it. Winning Strength Online, Winning Strength Southampton, Winning Strength Blueprint, which is the strength training app we've got. So go to winningstrength.com and you'll see everything there.
There you go. So winningstrength.com, just all one word, no dash. That will also be included below. So personally, I'd like to thank Tom for taking some time out of his bedtime.
Sleep.
But it was like, it's good to always find out more about like different aspects of the strength game, not just what everyone sees for the most part on social media of, okay, you see some CrossFit, you see bodybuilding, you see bikini competitions, you see powerlifting. You don't really see too much on the strongman side, even though it's probably more fun than the other ones are. You don't have to suffer so much through dieting like bodybuilding, bikini competitions, and you don't have to sit around all day just doing a total of 9 lifts. You get to do different lifts as well. Sometimes something might be a surprise for the competitors. And right now, as you mentioned earlier, the Rogue Invitational is going on, where you see some of the best strongman competitors in the world competing in a fun little event. And strongman, I think, is also, as you said, is growing. Like, it's getting more recognition, especially since guys like Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, Hafthor Bjornsson, Magnuson, like these guys have actually become a little more well-known thanks to like Rogue and social media, the Arnold Classic, where you see these world's strongest man competitors instead of just getting that one competition a year that might be on TV. Now it's becoming a little bit more well-known, which is nice to see. So in closing, Tom, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way is, as we said, winningstrength.com. There's a contact form, or tom.hibbert1 on Instagram. I'm responsive. It all goes to your phone. I'm very responsive. I love replying to messages. Paid or unpaid, I will help out.
All right. So thank you for taking your time today, Tom, tonight in your case, Tom. So for those trying to get more information on strongman training, check out his website and his social media.